greatest challenges that leaders of the future are going to have to overcome? I interviewed 140 CEOs around the world and teamed up with LinkedIn to survey almost 14,000 employees, and these are the greatest challenges that future leaders are going to have to overcome. I grouped them into two categories: futurize and humanize. And as you can tell, the futurize section is about making sure your organization is ready for the future, and the humanize section is about making sure that your organization stays human in the future. So let's start off with the futurize section. There are a couple challenges that fall underneath this. The first one is making sure that we challenge the status quo. One way that you can make sure that your organization is ready for the future, you have to move away from doing things the way that you've always been doing things. Challenge the status quo. Another one is the pace of change. That's a huge challenge for future leaders and organizations. How do you keep up with all the madness that's happening out there? If you think about it, things have never been as slow as they are now, and the pace is only going to increase, so you have to understand that this is the new normal. The third challenge under futurize is shifting from short-term to long-term thinking. Short-term thinking, all about quarterly profits, all about meeting the numbers in short time periods. We have to think bigger picture, because when we think bigger picture, that's ultimately when we can test, experiment, explore new ideas, be curious. If you're constantly obsessed with the short term, that is in stark contradiction to exploring and testing and experimentation. It doesn't make any sense. So you have to move away from short-term to long-term thinking. The last challenge under the futurize section is all about adapting to technology. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, the Internet of Things, augmented and virtual reality, and the list goes on and on and on. And as a future leader, you need to understand how these technologies are going to impact your business, how they're going to impact the way that you lead, and how these technologies are going to impact the way that work in general gets done. Now let's talk a little bit about the humanize challenges. Again, these are the human-centric challenges that future leaders are going to have to overcome. The first challenge under the humanize section for future leaders is all about upskilling, reskilling, retraining their employees, making sure that your workforce has the skills they need for the future. Dell, in partnership with Institute for the Future, did a study, and they estimate that 85% of the jobs for 2030 have not even been invented yet. It's crazy. So that's a huge challenge for future leaders, is thinking about upskilling and retraining their employees. Another challenge under this category is attracting and retaining top talent. Jeffrey Puritt, he's the CEO of TELUS International, over 30,000 employees around the world. When I interviewed him for the book, he told me that actually it is harder for him to attract employees than it is to get customers. So the war for talent is only heating up, and in 10 years' time, it's gonna be completely more fierce than it is now. The next challenge is around leading diverse teams. There's a huge shift and focus towards diversity and inclusion. As a leader, you're going to have to lead teams where employees have different backgrounds, cultures, sexual orientations, beliefs. They come from different parts of the world. It's not just going to be about leadership teams where everybody's an older white guy in a suit. And as a leader, you're not just going to be leading those types of teams either. So you need to have this kind of global mindset where you can lead teams with diverse backgrounds, cultures, expectations, ways of doing things, and beliefs. The next challenge is around focus on doing good. In other words, thinking beyond the organization to understanding how the work you're doing is impacting society, the world at large, how you're positively contributing to the world beyond just making money. Because employees today, and more so in the future, want to have that sense of purpose and meaning and impact on doing good, on making the organization more human. So this is going to be a challenge for future leaders, is how do you step up and move the conversation beyond just profits to focus on doing good. And the very last challenge under the humanize section is around making the organization human. We're so obsessed with technology, we're so obsessed with artificial intelligence that we forget that business still runs on humans, on relationships, on shaking somebody's hand, on looking somebody in the eye, on having a conversation with somebody. So as much as we talk about technology and being obsessed with technology, we have to remember as leaders now and especially in the future, we need to remember to make our organizations more, not less human. By all means, embrace technology, use technology, but do it in a way that makes your organization more human, not less human. So these are the greatest challenges that future leaders are going to have to overcome in these two categories of futurize, making sure your organization, you and your people are ready for the future, and humanize, making sure that you, your organization, and your teams stay human. And I hope that you are thinking about these challenges and starting to prepare.